Robert Redford, the legendary Hollywood actor best known for classics such as the 1969 film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and the 1985 drama Out of Africa, has died at the age of 89, The New York Times reported on September 16, 2025. Redford's marriage to ex-wife Lola Van Wagenen, in the late 1950s. Redford was a restless young man searching for direction after his mother's death and his expulsion from college. He spent time drifting through Europe before returning to New York to pursue his art studies. It was during this unsettled chapter that he met Lola Van Wagenen, a thoughtful young woman from Utah raised in a conservative Mormon family. Redford was intense and guarded, while Van Wagenen was calm and patient. Their connection was immediate. In 1958, long before Redford found fame in Hollywood, the two quietly married and began a life together that both ambition and hardship would define. All about Lola Van Wagenen, historian, activist, educator. Lola Van Wagenen is a historian, educator, and activist whose career has spanned more than 4 decades. She co-founded Consumer Action Now in 1970 to promote consumer and environmental education and later co-founded Clio Visualizing History, a nonprofit dedicated to innovative public history projects. As per a report, Van Wagenen earned her BA from Vermont College, an MA and PhD in history from New York University, and has produced acclaimed works including Miss America, a documentary film for PBS, and The State of Marriage, 2015. Her leadership has extended to organizations such as UNICEF, the National Audubon Society, and the Vermont Historical Society, earning her multiple honors, including an honorary doctorate from Pratt Institute and NYU's Distinguished Alumni Award. Marriage, family. Early tragedy. The couple welcomed their first child, Scott, in 1959, but tragedy struck when he died of sudden infant death syndrome at just 2 months old. Redford once admitted that the loss was devastating and left to have 3 more children. Shauna, born in 1960, built a career as an artist. James, known as Jamie, was born in 1962 and grew into a filmmaker and activist before his untimely death in 2020 at 58. Amy, their youngest, arrived in 1970 and pursued acting, directing, and producing, as Redford's career soared with films like Inside Daisy Clover, Barefoot in the Park, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Van Wagenen focused on raising their children in Utah. She co-founded Consumer Action Now in 1970 and later Clio Visualizing History, reflecting her lifelong passion for education and activism. Divorce. After 27 years of marriage, despite decades together, Redford and Van Wagenen grew apart. Their marriage, marked by love and resilience, also carried the weight of silence after Scott's death and the demands of Redford's Hollywood career. In 1985, they divorced after 27 years. There were no public disputes, only quiet respect for one another. Redford rarely spoke about the separation, though he admitted that he struggled with emotional distance. Van Wagenen continued her academic work, eventually earning a PhD from New York University, while Redford shifted toward directing and activism. Life after divorce. Lasting legacy. In later years, Redford found love again with German painter Sibylle Sagers, marrying her in 2009. Van Wagenen continued her career as a historian and activist, making her own mark outside the Hollywood spotlight. Although their marriage ended, Redford and Van Wagenen remained forever linked through their children and shared history. Their story reflects both the promise of young love and the endurance required to face grief, family responsibilities, and the challenges of fame. For Redford, the marriage laid the foundation for his life as a husband and father. For Van Wagenen, it became a chapter in a life devoted to family, education, and social causes. Together, they built a legacy of resilience that outlives the heartbreak.